In the last video, we took Vision Metron front hub apart, and I promised to share some bearing replacement tips. You might be going to replace your wheel hub bearings for the first time ever, and my tips could help you a bit. Just like you, I've replaced my hub bearings for the first time just recently. Before doing so, I checked plenty of information, and my replacement went as smooth as it could be. Let yours go the same. The first question is when to replace the bearings. Normally, they last for several years, and cyclists just forget about them. It took my front hub 2 years and 10,000 miles or 16,000 kilometers to show a sign of a ruined bearing. How do you check if the bearings are fine? The easiest way is turning the inner race of a bearing with a finger. This should feel smooth and even. I mean absolutely, buttery smooth, as if the bearing were brand new. Any roughness or creakiness is a solid sign of a ruined, also called pitted, bearing. Doing this for the first time ever? Check at least 2 bearings one after another. One of them is likely to be fine. Once you know the feeling of a fine bearing, you'll immediately identify a pitted one. Needless to say, you have to take your hub apart for this kind of inspection. Normally, a pitted bearing makes your hub much noisier. You can spot the noise by rotating the wheel of your bike in the air. An easy but a tricky way of inspection. You could have already forgotten how silent your hub should actually be. For a rear hub, you need to take off either a chain or a rear wheel completely. Otherwise, you'll hear only the free-up noise. On a rare occasion, you can save this type of bearings by opening the seal, cleaning the inside, and replacing the grease. Looks attractive, but take a deeper look. You'll have to do this with the bearing still inside the hub. Therefore, you will take off just the outside seal and you will have limited access for a thorough clean. You would spend the same time as if you replaced the bearing. And lastly, this all could be in vain. It does not recover a pitted bearing, only replaces the used grease. My advice: replace the bearing. Some active experienced cyclists advise to routinely replace hub bearings every 1 or 2 years. This is a nice professional approach. Once again, I happily refer to Aussie Cycle video on the hub bearings replacement. The Aussie is a guru of bike service and has lots of money-saving advice. The link is above. And I'll give you just some tips from my replacement of the bearings during a travel to Spain, with minimum of tools and service space available. First, keep in mind that extraction of a pressed bearing requires much more attention and effort than pressing back a new one. Our primary extraction tool is a Dynabolt, effective and cheap. My bike had a through axle hub and the inner bearing diameter of 17 mm. This means I would need twice a bigger Dynabolt than the Aussie in his video. But never mind, it's still cheap. I got this for $2 at Leroy Merlin, Spain, and all the other stuff for the bearing replacement is also there. This is a 16 mm Dynabolt. It goes through our bearing with ease and doesn't take much winding to lock firmly. After the Dynabolt is locked, you need to rest the hub on a polymer bushing to let the bearing fall down. The Aussie used a combo of 2 bushings, but sometimes you are good to go even with 1. Leroy Merlin had a nice section of such bushings to choose from. I got 3 of them to cover future needs, but for the front hub, this one was enough. Once again, they're super cheap. $1 each. The Aussie used another Dynabolt to hit from above, but you might be good with a simpler solution. Once your Dynabolt is firmly locked, take out the bolt and screw it back from above. Now you can hit the bolt directly. Just take care of 2 things. You need some clearance at the bottom end of the Dynabolt. The bearing should go out before the bottom end is stuck into the floor. At the same time, Take care not to damage the hub or another bearing at the top with a bolt head. Okay, we've got the bearing out. To press a new bearing back, you need some more stuff. A threaded rod, some matching nuts, some washers, and some bushings. I got it all at Leroy Merlin, Spain. The cheapest solution was a pair of rods with nuts and washers included. $5 for the complete set. For this bearing, the included washers are obviously not large enough. Why? It's the outer race which holds the bearing inside your hub. To press the bearing into the hub, you need to press against this outer race. A small washer would cover only the inner race, and the pressing force would go through the balls of your bearing. Likely, this would damage your new fine bearing from the very start. So, the washer should have the same outer diameter as your bearing. 1 millimeter smaller is also fine, but no more. On the opposite side of the rod, we need to press firmly against the hub shell. With another washer? No. Modern hubs are made of light alloys and painted. Pressing against it with a metal washer would likely scratch the paint or even the alloy itself. Our help is again a poly bushing, soft and strong. It works like a gasket between the hub shell and a metal washer. Take a bushing that would best match the diameter of your hub outer edge. Thankfully, there's a huge range of shapes and sizes. This one is bigger, this one is smaller, and this one has a thicker edge. Finally, we need another metal washer or a couple to firmly cover the opening on the bushing. Another nut, and our DIY tool is ready. Just a bit over $10. This one has worked perfectly for me, even on a travel. I had a multi-tool with me, with pliers, but not a single spanner. So I had to take a cheap adjustable spanner for another $5. Okay, without a multi-tool, I would have to buy 2 spanners and the total would be around $20. But have you ever checked how much are special bearing tools? If you still have any questions at this point, don't forget to check the video of Aussie Cycle. It covers the whole procedure. The link is in the right corner. Or drop your questions to the comments below. A final tip. The bearings sit pretty deep in some hubs. This can make it difficult to grab the nut with the spanner. Imagine this is the hub opening. Here comes the bearing, the washer, the nut. Trying to grab the nut this way, you are likely to scratch the hub. Use more washers to elevate the nut, or add another nut above. Easy. Each case is a bit specific. Be imaginative. On a travel, I obviously didn't have a hammer to extract a bearing. And I didn't want to buy one for a single use. What could help instead? A hefty cutting desk from a kitchen.